Good morning and welcome to Talking Bayside Business. I am Rebecca Matthews. I am the transformation coach and the founder of a local business called the Mind and Body Co. And I'm really excited to sponsor this event and to be your host today. This series is really about getting to know the people behind our local businesses so that we can support them and champion in them and really come together as a community to support local business the best we can. So today I'm really excited to be talking to Capri Clark, who is the owner and founder of Bayside Remedial Massage and Healing. Welcome, Capri.
Thank you, Rebecca, and thank you for having me on today.
Oh, pleasure. So first of all, tell us a little bit about what your business is and what you do.
Okay, well, I think the name does give it away slightly to say that I'm in remedial massage. However, I think it's quite important to tell you about the difference from remedial massage. A lot of people people think of oils, rubbing them, relaxation, that kind of thing. My space is more a space of working with people with chronic injury, chronic illness, and I actually don't use massage oil at all. I've done a lot of further training on top of my background of being a registered nurse in remedial massage, and then I worked into myotherapy and neuromuscular type work. So working with, although the muscles, it's more working with the nervous system, the fascia system, which is also called the connective tissue system, and the brain to really get some good results of working with people with the chronic pain or the chronic illness. And I also do manual lymphatic drainage. Again, another thing that I've had to specialise in and do extra courses and work in. And that can be very specific. A lot of people who have had one of the most noticeable things is breast cancer, and the women may get lymphedema in one of their arms or anything like that. But it goes a lot further than that it's really wonderful for people with a chronic illness, chronic disease again, because the lymphatic system really is so important in our body, and it connects back in again with the whole neuromuscular nervous system, all those sorts of things. So I'm not probably your usual therapist. I really am remedial. Remedial is around working with, for health benefits. And yeah, no one comes to me just to lie on the bed and have a relaxing massage, because it just doesn't really work like that with what I do. So
absolutely. I think, something that I've become really aware of over recent years is really that there's so much about the human body we really just don't understand. I mean, some of, the things you've just mentioned, the fascia tissue and the lymphatic drainage and all of those things, is that most people, and probably no one until recently really understood that could really impact your overall health and well-being. It really does it all plays such a huge role, and we're so I don't want to say ignorant, but we're so oblivious to the fact that it's even a thing and that we should be taking care of it.
Yeah, and there's a lot more information out there these days around, plasticity of the brain and how the body is really working with the mind and the brain to how it's functioning. And that's the place where I come from, is not just about the body. It is about working with people's thought processes and patterns and what's happened in their past, particularly around chronic pain. I find that there are there's a lot of information out there, but it's very hard to pinpoint exactly what you need to do. And a lot of my clients say, they've had these pains for so long, and it's great that I can help them just, calm that pain down a little bit, but there's so much work that they need to do by themselves, which is really looking at even the meditation, mindfulness, all those practices all coming to treat the whole person. And when people come to see me, they don't just get physical work done for their body. They get me talking about all these different factors that really influence chronic pain and what they can do medically and complementary. I really am from a medical background, being a registered nurse, so I really try and combine the both together and work with people and their specialists and doctors. I actually work with quite a few doctors within this vicinity and different therapists, just to really get a whole picture about a body. And
it really does take a team. It takes a team. It's not only about, even in my industry, it's so much about what you don't know, and the, building that awareness, and then making sure you surround yourself with the right people to help you create the change that you need to create. And I see it in my industry, and it's the same in the health space. People come to you, they don't know what they don't know. They're asked after you to really support them and educate them and help them identify who are the people they need to bring in and be on their team.
Yeah.
And you touched a little bit on your background as a registered nurse. So I'd love to know, and I'd love for you to share with our audience what it is that made you make the shift, and when was the moment, or what was the kind of the turning point for you that you decided that you were going to go into business for yourself?
It's a big story. Although I was a registered nurse, I also studied industrial relations and law and business. So the last really sort of 15 years, I've been more working in a legal space and a business space, still within that health and employment law and advocacy. So standing before industrial magistrates and things like that and advocating for people on whatever issues they had coming up. So I feel like my nursing is there. So my, that medical background is there, but I've done so much advocacy over the last sort of, 10 years, 15 years. However, about that kind of shows my personality, type A, go, work. And I myself, about 4 years ago, I actually had to stop working because I had developed autoimmune disease.
Wow.
And I have a couple. I have Addison's disease, which affects your adrenal glands, and I have mixed connective tissue disease, which is basically, it's a few different things like vasculitis and lupus, and it's a mix. That's why it's called mixed connective. It unfortunately affected me to the point of being unable to work. I couldn't really accept that though. I realized that I needed to make changes in my life, and one of my big issues is actually sunlight. It affects lupus and affects my skin, and fatigue and things like that. So I didn't want to stop working, but I needed to. So I stopped, and I thought, to keep my mind going, I'll just do some studying, and I did some life coaching studies, and then I just for something to do on a weekend, I went for a weekend course on massage, and I really enjoyed it. And I could also see that massage is actually a really physical job, but I could see that it's more around touch, and it's more around, there's so much more than just digging into people's muscles, is what I could see.
Yeah, 100%.
And so many people said to me, this is not a wise decision because physically you'll never be able to do it. Why are you progressing in massage? But I always had that end thought that I don't have to be the remedial massage therapist that everyone else is. There's different things about me and different things that I'm good at, and I will attract people that want what I have. So it was scary because so many people saying, don't do it, you won't live up to it. But I have, and I did the degree, the college, the diploma. I got all my provider numbers, and we then modified the house so that I could have my clinic adjoined to the house, which stops me from going in the sunlight and commuting.
Yeah, which Queensland is a challenge, right?
It is. It really is. I do have tinted windows all through the house and all through the car and everything, but I don't sit in front of a computer because UV lights and things like that are a bit of an issue. So it to me, it made sense. And I just really had that feeling that I'd gone through such a horrible time with my own illness, with a lot of misdiagnosis and a lot of medical doctors and doctors telling me what I was and what I wasn't and what I could and couldn't do. But missing that point of there's so much more than just taking the medication.
Oh, 100%. And, and you learnt through your own journey, like so many of us do, and that inspired, you to want to help others go through that journey much more efficiently and effectively.
Yeah.
A lot of the business owners I talk to, are inspired by their own journeys, by learning things the hard way the first time. And, you've adapted your business not only to serve and support other people through that, but to also support and nurture your own needs. And I love that.
Yeah.
The beauty of going into business for yourself.
Yes. And it's allowed me to be able to say, look, I don't like the heaviness on people's muscles. One, because my own disease affects my own muscles, so I'm very careful of them. And it allowed me to go, I'm going to go along the myotherapy route here because I find that so much, easier for people to adapt to, and it just works really well. And lymphatics and things like that. So yeah, it really was that journey that brought me to where I am today, but it's constantly changing. Like at the moment, I find it hard to find good creams for my skin that help with inflammation as well as the lesions that I get. So I've been creating up my own body butters, and I'm now sort of merging into a few more facial creams and stuff like that. And my clients are like, well, can I buy some? And I thought recently, well, maybe I should, branch out that. So it feels like being in business for yourself brings along these opportunities that you're not really even thinking about. And suddenly you move and change. And I find that really exciting.
Absolutely. And all you're doing is, it sounds like what you're doing is identifying other gaps in the market for people who are experiencing these chronic diseases and this chronic pain. And, if you have had to go down the path of creating your own products, then it's only natural that other people can't find what they want either and what they need. So I love that. I love that you're just kind of embracing that evolution of business and that the journey that comes along with it, which is fantastic. So I was going to ask you what makes your business unique and special, but I really think it's you that makes it unique and special. You understand the journey, you understand the pain, you understand the challenges, and you really get it from the other side, which I think is probably, in my opinion, my humble opinion, what makes your business unique. I mean, do you agree, or do you think there's something else that makes your business particularly unique?
I think people come to see me. I say that to my clients all the time. I'm quite matter of fact. If something that I'm doing is not helping someone, I will refer them on. I want to make sure that they are really getting what they need and deserve. So, I'll say, well, maybe this might be a better way to do it. Or, I work with a couple of musculoskeletal doctors, and I'm like, maybe it's time to go see them. They've got some different ideas as well. So I think they come to me for my honesty, but also, yes, because I've been through the journey. And it's, even for me, having new clients come in and tell me their own journey that they're on. So they have no idea what I've been going through, and they tell me about their own autoimmune journey or chronic illness journey or MS, something like that. And I just sit there going, wow, it's like we're just a mirror. So yeah. I feel like we just attract who needs to come in.
Absolutely, I agree. And you touched on something earlier, which I thought was really interesting. And I've certainly experienced it through my own, as a mother, trying to get, different help for my children along the way at different times. But navigating the healthcare system is a minefield. Yeah. And trying to find the right specialists and get referrals to the right people and get GPs who will refer you to those people, and how you find them in the first places. And then what questions to ask and what path to go down and whose advice to follow and all of that stuff. It's a minefield. So you really do want somebody like yourself who's done it, has the insights, has the tips, has the connections to say, start by talking with this person, start by changing this in your diet or changing this in your routine or implementing these things. as well as, maybe start looking into some of this other stuff. And I can see there'd be absolutely so much value in having someone like you on the team holding my hand through along the process. So what do you think is a common misconception about what you do?
I think initially, when I wasn't probably so smart in getting my approach and making it really known what I do, is that people would come to me to lie on the table and just have an oil massage. And a lot of people say to me, no pain, no gain. And I am just like, throw that out the window straight away, because it's not my belief at all. And no pain, no gain just makes no sense. It's, having a really hard massage on your muscles will probably do nothing compared to some of the softer, gentler work. And I think maybe even my confidence has grown a lot more over the last year, because I've seen how effective it is for some people. But I would say also that it's not for everyone. So people always say to me, oh, wow, you've done something great. I've not got that pain anymore. And I'm like, well, it's not really me. It's your body that has allowed the changes. Your body and you have accepted my work.
Yeah, I've kind of triggered the right spots, but your body's done the work.
Yeah. And they've also done the work by some of the exercises I've given them, or having a rest for a time, or using a heat pack. So, I really put it back to them and say, it's not really just me, it's you. You've done the work. Your body's done the work. So I do find the misconception of people coming in here though and going, well, I want to be fixed right now. I always say to them, it's not going to be quite that easy. My hope is to give you some range of movement today and a bit of pain reduction. But then we'll need to move forward, and we'll need to work together, and you'll need to do your part and I'll do my part. So, some people don't like that, but they will be the people who'll move on. And then sometimes they come back in 6 months' time and say, okay, I'm ready now. And that's okay as well. I think everyone's at their own point. And I feel I more or less get people who are really ready. It's very clear on my website what I do. And they are ready to come in and start the work, knowing that I put it on them straight away, saying, I can do so much, but you know what? If I was a miracle worker, I'd be charging a lot more and bottling it and all those kind of things. So you're right. It's very much of a team process. And
it's fantastic. I have to admit, I am also, or previously I was also one of those people which was like, if you don't make me cry, I'm not getting my money's worth, I need to feel the pain. I need to be out of here, feel bruised tomorrow, so I know my muscles have been, triggered and whatnot. But, I'm lucky enough to have a good friend of mine who does the fascia work, and, she really has educated me in terms of, not only the damage you can do with that kind of massage. There are times where that type of massage is appropriate, but how that kind of work is not necessarily always the right thing for you going forward, and how feeling that kind of pain is triggering other things in your body that's potentially working against the result you're trying to achieve. So I think it comes down to education, and also people's openness to trying something new, because when people get a very gentle, almost non-touch massage, it takes a little bit of mental shift in terms of still appreciating the value of what you're receiving. So until you get the results, once you get the results, you go, okay, it's working. But initially being open to trying something different. What do you find is the most challenging thing about being a Bayside business?
I'm not sure if it's just related to Bayside. This is the only place I've ever run my own business. So what I find challenging is probably when people go, oh, look, I just can't make it tomorrow, I'll just cancel. Well, what they don't realize is 4 or 5 other people might have cancelled as well. And because I have a wait list, yes, I can ring other people to get them into the positions, but it means that there's a two-prong effect. One, it's affecting me as a business, but it's also affecting other people who are trying to get in because they can't get an appointment because it's so full. And then when someone just goes, oh, maybe I'll just miss this month and I'll try and get in another time. One, they'll find it very difficult to get back in. But two, it's stopping other people that may need to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a hard thing though, because I know that when I didn't have my own business, I probably was like that too. So it's not a criticism.
Absolutely. It's an awareness, because I think we're all guilty of it in some aspects, and we don't necessarily appreciate the flow-on effects that we're having when our schedules change and our ability to make those appointments, or we just, fob them off or whatever. We don't realize there's implications, and sometimes there's not. Sometimes the business can carry on and it doesn't skip a beat, but sometimes, particularly with small businesses,
they think it's the size.
Yeah, absolutely. And and also a lot of small business, I don't know if this is relevant for you, but the people you're working with sometimes prep for your appointment, sometimes look into certain things. Sometimes my husband's a personal trainer, and he plans programs, and he reviews nutrition, and he does all of that stuff ahead of each session. So when somebody cancels at the last minute, that's prep time where he could have been doing something else or spending time with his family.
Yes.
And it has an impact, and I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. I do prep before every appointment. Nobody walks in that door without me knowing exactly what I did last time, what we're doing this time, where the plan's going. So it is that. The other challenge I would say is that I'm a one-horse show. I never answer my phone. I just can never, ever get to the phone. It's, I'm either in the clinic working, or I'm trying to have some downtime, or I'm trying to continue on with the business side. So people don't leave messages.
Okay.
So I try and get it across to everyone. Send a text message or an email or something like that, and I will get back to you. But that is one of my challenges, is that I just don't really get to that phone that much. And sometimes it will run out of battery and I won't even notice because I haven't been there. So that's
a good thing, because what that means is I'm the same. Is when I'm in a session with a client, I have all my notifications turned off. I have everything on airplane mode. I'm 100% focused on my clients, and that's a good thing. It's just not helpful if people are trying to last minute change their appointments, which are next. And that's just, I guess that's one of the challenges of not having reception staff and people in the wings. So what do you find most rewarding about being a Bayside business?
It's made me a lot more aware of community spirit. I think since having my own business, again, it's that awareness of there are challenges to it. And I think if you stay very insular, you would become very lonely. So I must admit I'm quite busy at the moment, so I don't do as much community stuff. But when I was first starting out, I went to some of the Women's Network business meetings, and I have connected with a lot of other businesses, not even related to my own. Like, a friend has a doggy daycare business, and we talk about business things.
Yeah.
It's made me so much more aware of like what's involved in the community and what's happening with the community. And, it's just, I feel a lot more connected with the people around me. I do have a lot of people who come out of area. So that's interesting, because I'm always like, wow, they've come quite far to come and see me. But it's interesting just working with the people around me as well, who live quite close, and our kids will go to the same schools, and there's a lot of, we've got a lot of things in common, and I am such a small insular business in Wynnum West. So it's great to connect with people in that way and connect with other businesses.
Absolutely. I moved to the area a year ago from Melbourne, and it's the reason I'm wanting to do this interview series is because I have, been new to the area, or I reached out and joined lots of local networking groups, and have been just blown away by the just the spirit of not only succeeding in your own business, but how can you support and champion other businesses? How can you support each other? There really is this shared passion for seeing everybody succeed. And that's what I wanted to do with this interview series, was really start to showcase some of the people behind the businesses so people can get to know them a little bit more and really start to appreciate the wealth of knowledge and what we have available to us in this community. And there really is such a beautiful community around supporting each other and championing each other and referring business and all of that stuff. Everybody seems to want each other to grow, and I love that. It's certainly something I've noticed. So I love that you've just called that out. What are your goals this year in business?
Oh, the big one is the life balance, work-life balance. I think that's very challenging in your own business. Even on my days off, like today, it's just all about the business today. So I'm hoping to get a little bit more balance in there. We'll see how that one goes. But I'm quite excited around some of this, the body butters and things like that. I'm very new to it. I'm just learning the chemistry. I'm just learning about how putting water into any kind of product means you have to be very careful with your chemistry and testing and stuff like that. So I'm just looking at different ways of, it's not only myself that needs these products. I have so many clients come in for the lymphatics and their skin is so dry, or it's not retaining water and things like that on the skin level. So I've just been researching so much on what can I put into my products that will help them to just at least get their skin integrity a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm quite excited about that. It's very new direction for me.
Sounds very exciting.
Yeah, I've just received a whole heap of products 2 days ago, and it's like Christmas again for me. I open the box and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this one? How is this going to help? And I'm just going to keep on doing a few more courses just to really get that chemistry behind the actual product, so that when I'm at a point, which I'm not at the point to sell at the moment, but when I'm at a point that I can look at distributing, these kind of products to people, I'll have a good idea behind me and know what I want to do with it. But I've just had so many of my clients like, are your products ready yet? And I'm like, no,
Come
I'm
on,
not quite ready. I'm not ready.
But again, that's a good thing, because it means that you really are taking your time. You want to get the integrity of the product right. These are good problems to have. So that's awesome. So I've got just a couple more questions. How do you see, or how have you noticed that the Bayside community has changed over recent times? So whether, obviously the last year has been a really big year and lots of businesses have had to adapt, but how have you noticed the Bayside community as a whole has changed over the last couple of years?
I think that there is a lot more, as you were mentioning before, around that whole championing one another and helping one another out. Social media has helped with that, and some of the groups and so forth have helped with that. Some of these Facebook groups. You can, if a business is struggling, and, I've got some examples I can think of, other people have stepped in to try and help.
Yeah.
And on a community basis and that. And I think that particularly over COVID, initially we were all just completely stopped. And then it did change my business a lot as well. My infectious control has always been very good, coming from that nursing background, but now it's so on point, but it takes me a lot more longer. I have to have a big gap between clients, and because I want my room ventilation done, I want to make sure everything is wiped down.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that my clients have helped me to understand that I actually have to take less clients now, because my day would just blow out to around a 10-hour day.
Yeah.
Because I need time for all these things to be done.
Absolutely.
And I think that we're all very understanding of one another. And I think the community is it's gone through a rough trot. it's not, it's, you know, everyone's who isn't even in their own business has had to go through the psychological process of being in a lockdown and having their kids at home and working from home, and stress levels have soared and money problems, and you know, there's more noise. I know that my clinic is slightly noisier than what it was before. It was dead silent, you didn't hear a thing. But now I have a husband that works from home who thinks, oh, I might go get a cup of coffee, and I'm like, what are you doing? And it's not that much noise, it's just, you know, there's small changes. And I think that everybody's had to do that, no matter what it is in their life.
Absolutely.
And people are coming together.
You and I were having a joke earlier before we started recording, is that, you know, we're adapting to working at home with animals and children. You know, while we've been talking, I don't know if you heard, but a friend came and picked up her son who's been here for a play date and snuck in and snuck out. And, you know, like there's all these things that are happening in the background and that we're just having to adapt and to roll with. And I think you're right. I think we've all become a little more patient and a little bit more understanding. And I think that that's a good thing, right? Like that is such a beautiful shift in a community. So then on the flip side of that, what would you like to see happen in the community over the next couple of years? How would you like to see the local Bayside community evolve?
I'd love Wynnum and the Bayside area to grow. I'd love to see some of the businesses in the town a little bit more. And I think that there are changes happening. You can see it with, you know, infrastructure around here and things like that. I think that there are people out there with amazing ideas, and they are in the home at the moment, you know, either from Corona or lost income means that you can't rent and things like that. So I'd like to see, I suppose, the infrastructure support the small businesses coming back into being in the township as well. I myself will probably never move premise because it's
good reason.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do like to see other people being able to grow, and you know, I see maybe you know, some at-home beautician or something, maybe they can grow into a shop and things like that. So I'd like to see the infrastructure support the small business as well.
Absolutely. I think
small business is not just home business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think touching on, you know, what we've already discussed is that there is such this beautiful community spirit and this togetherness that I see the opportunity for lots of people who are currently working from home and kind of making do with whatever spaces they have available to come together and do, you know, collectives, you know, open up shared working spaces, open up shared retail spaces, open up shared health and well-being spaces, and start to really share the load a little bit in terms of those overheads, but really, again, work together to succeed and to champion success. So that's all awesome. So I'd love to finish off today's interview with a little bit of an insight into you and what you love to do. But what is your favorite local spot to go?
Oh.
You got a local cafe or a local restaurant or a spot along the Bayside that you love to go picnic? What's your favorite thing to do?
There's two things that I love to do. I love the yacht club, the Manly Yacht Club. I love going down there and knowing that my children can just run down to the bay and play and do whatever they want, and then, you know, we can sit up and have a burger or whatever. And they host a lot of events, and I really like going there. My husband are like, what will we do today? Oh, should we just go back to the yacht club, because we enjoy it down there.
Well, and it's such a great space, and there's space, you know, and particularly in these times when, you know, we're all restricted to how many people per square meter. Yeah. It's got the space, and it's got the lawn for the kids to run, and all of those things. So that's a great share. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Yeah. Now, I will include all of your contact details in the text, either up or below, wherever I share this interview. But do you have any final words you'd like to share with our audience before we wrap up?
Don't phone or leave a message or send a text message. That's probably the biggest thing at the moment.
Okay, perfect.
and probably plan ahead because I'm quite solidly booked out. But once people come in, then I can find spaces and things like that. But again, I think that even if I always say to people, come along and meet me and make your own decision and think about what you and your body want, because it may not be for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a beautiful message. Not everything is a good fit for everyone.
Yep.
Not everyone is a good fit for everyone.
Yep.
So, and being really authentic to, who you are and what you need and what's right for you. So I love that. So that's a great parting message. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope the audience reach out and connect with you and, support and champion your business along the way too.
Perfect. Thank you for having me, Rebecca. It's been lovely.
Thanks so much.